Hello, everyone. My name is Padmini Nidumolu, and I'm the co-founder of Lean and Agile for Women, an initiative to bring women across the globe who are passionate about lean and agile and in those spaces to form a strong network, to bring us all on the same platform, to learn, share, celebrate, and appreciate each other. And as part of this initiative, we have launched a program called LEA 100, Lean and Agile 100, journeys and stories of 100 incredible women across the world. And by no means these are the only 100, these are 100 among many. These are the women we happen to identify and recognize, and these women were nominated by their colleagues and their community. And I'm really thrilled and honored to bring a leader in her own right, a trainer, a coach at program and portfolio level. She's from Bangalore, India, and that's very close to my heart. That's where I was born and brought up. And her expertise specifically is in driving strategic initiatives, coaching, and she's into product development, mentoring, training, and solution design. And in fact, she has strategized several large-scale agile transformation journeys for giants like Target Technology, Philips Healthcare, Honeywell Technologies, and Cineverse Technology Solutions. She's currently supporting Lowe's as a director of enterprise agile transformation. She also brings in huge expertise in lean startups and design thinking, which she uses effectively with agile flavors to help organizations in achieving their own goals for faster to market and with high quality. And what's very interesting and intriguing, to me was she's on a mentor and expert panel of Mass Challenge, and it's a startup accelerator program based out of Boston, but she coaches and mentors startups who are wanting mentorship and coaching as to how to kind of overcome some of the challenges. And she's involved in selection of those startups for accelerator program. And she mentors the selected startups in their journey towards establishing a startup. And she's been very instrumental in setting up several Agile Center of Excellence as part of her work and her journey through these clients. And she's currently a delivery director at International at C Prime. So I'm very honored and glad to welcome Padma Satyamurthy to LEA 100. Welcome, Padma, and thank you so much for your willingness to be on LEA 100 list. We're honored.
Thanks, Padmini. Thank you for having me here, and I'm thankful to everyone who nominated me and for your time. I know it must be a really early morning for you. Thanks for taking out time for this.
Awesome. The pleasure is totally ours. And I gathered quite a bit of information and facts about you, and it's really fascinating. I think every agile, or in fact every agilist out there in India knows you, so that should say a lot about your contributions to the community. So pleasure is all ours.
Yeah, sometimes it actually concerns me because are we so less in number, the women, that people know everyone? Should we be growing more so that they can't remember everyone? Maybe that sometimes kind of, I don't know whether to feel good or not feel good about the fact that everyone knows me.
Right. No, I love what you mentioned, right? I think we should grow in numbers where people have, enough people to know about.
Yeah, which Padma are you talking about? I would love to
there
hear
you go.
that sometime.
There you go. Which Padma
because I know 10 coaches by that name, so I would love to know which one. I think that day should come soon.
Absolutely. Which awesome Padma are you talking about?
Exactly.
Awesome. So I'll dive directly, into what I want to ask you and what the audience might want to know about you, Padma. So in our conversation, right before this interview, you mentioned that you're, the only woman coach in Lowe's, the client you're working with in Bangalore.
Right.
Can you share a little bit about what that means to be the only woman coach and what challenges it might pose and how you specifically overcome them.
Yeah. One, the coaches that I am with, the male coaches, I'm very thankful to them. Not every time you find such awesome male coaches around you. So
Right.
it's actually sometimes we forget who is who from a gender perspective. They sometimes think that I'm one of them. So we just get so comfortable talking anything. So it kind of is good. And from a challenge perspective, honestly, not much, just because they are male coaches with me. But I know that one thing that I have seen, I'll not from my colleagues' perspective, but I'll tell you another place where I was coaching. Let me not name the company, but there was a training that had to be done. It is a 2-day certification training, and one of the program managers said, "But can she stand for 2 days and do this training?" you know you do hear one or two times some things like this, which kind of concerns you, like what's wrong? Like if a man can stand for 2 days or 4 days and do the training, I
Right.
can. But there are a couple of times where I've heard this, that, oh, she can train, which means she can stand for 2 days, because we don't want people to be sitting and training. It's not very effective. Right? So those are some typical challenges I face, not from
Yeah.
my male coach colleagues, but from typically clients, some of the times, who are not very sure
Perception.
what,
Yeah.
yeah, what it is to have a woman coach. Or we have, we our office is, our headquarters is located in US, so you will have to work a little late hours. Is that okay with you? You don't ask this question to a male coach, right?
Yes.
Will you be okay to stay back if I have a late evening call? But why do you want to make sure when it's a woman coach? Like, what makes you think she will not make adjustments to her commitment to this work, when she knows that you're headquartered in US? So you need to stay back. What makes you think she will have a problem with it? Right?
Right.
So you will
Yeah.
never. I don't see anybody asking a male coach, "Will you be okay? We work a little late in the
Sure.
evening. Are you okay? We sometimes, you may have to do a little extra work on a Saturday. We may ask you to send a mail on Saturday." You don't ask this. Why do you ask me? So that's
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, that's the challenge. But
Yeah.
it's been like about 18 months for me with this client now, so they now know me very well. So no such questions. Or even in previous clients, after 3 months, 4 months, they know that, okay, this is stupid of me to ask this type of questions, probably. So they don't. But I'm concerned that they ask it the first time, actually.
Right. Yeah. I think it's the perception and
Yeah,
probably even presumptions, right,
yeah,
about what women can and cannot do.
cannot.
And that leads me to my next question. And I will not, in fact, control my urge to generalize this statement or this question. I was born and brought up in India, and I'm direct privy to the cultural barriers or even the limitations that we are put into, right? And in fact, when you set out to do something, more so into leadership roles, there are many cultural barriers how you're perceived, just like you mentioned. And people are sometimes quick to judge your personality and your preferences in life. If you're getting into leadership roles in organizations, they're quick to judge your priorities in life, and they perceive you differently. How did you overcome those cultural and societal barriers as you advanced into this leadership role?
I remember actually one of the times, like, my husband he got a very good hike and a good promotion once in his, not many times, but one of those times in his career. And my mother-in-law made a statement, which means you don't need to work from tomorrow. Right? Because she said, my son is now, I mean, we had just like, moved into a house and the housing loan, and she knew what commitments we had financial, and she said, "Oh, this is going to take care of both your salaries probably, so you don't need to work." I said, "But I don't work just for that. I work for
Right.
beyond." And she said, "But what else? Yeah, what else do you work for? Like, if
Right.
and
Yeah.
money is already there with him, so why do you need to work?" So it starts from there, irrespective of a leadership role. It starts from, why are you working? Like, is that because you have commitment at home, and is this one earning not sufficient? So a lot of perception starts very early, even with the first
Yes.
job, right? Not even a
Yes.
leadership role, but even your first job. And how long do you plan to work? I don't think anybody asks men about this, but a lot of like how long do you plan to work?
Yeah.
As long as I can. I mean,
Right.
as long as like any man can, man would, I would do that too.
Right.
So this, I'm sure you relate to it because you know how Indian culture is, and so you
Yes.
probably have answered
Absolutely.
these type of questions yourself
Yes.
a
Very
couple
much
of
so.
times or more than that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and one thing that I have started to do off late, which has been a very tough journey for me, is to ignore, because it's very difficult to convince a bunch of people. A lot of people I know very well think that because I'm in a maybe a senior leadership role and do a lot of things on my own, they do have a perception that I must be very dominating. My husband must be very henpecked, and um, right, I control everything at home. So I
Yeah.
know that they do think about me, and I have heard them say that behind me. I used to try to convince earlier, but now I have started to just laugh and ignore. It's
Yeah.
much better, and I'm just hoping that more and more people coming out to work. I have, like I said, 9 male coaches working with me, and they know what it is to work with me. So I'm sure that 9 will go and tell at least another 9 each that no, not all, not every woman who is working is like that. I mean,
Yeah.
different. And I hope the men itself start changing this perception for women rather than we women trying to fight it out and telling and yelling at the top of our voice saying, oh, it's not like that. We are actually like this. I think
Absolutely.
I am expecting the male community to help us get out of those perceptions actually.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they actually help other women also to understand instead of me going and trying to tell another woman why I work, what I do, rather and what she's doing, and both of us are correct in our own pages.
Absolutely. And you said it right. I think, we are, coming together as a women community, but we absolutely need men as our allies, and they are our allies, right?
And
At the work front, at the home front. So you made a very important point that, we really need to have them as our allies to kind of, promote why we are at work and what we do at work. So very well said. And in fact, as you were talking about, the workplace, balance of, gender and diversity and whatnot, I was looking at, the body of work you've done, with your association with conferences. You speak at conferences. You contribute towards, sharing your knowledge in conferences. Can you share, with us a little bit about what that landscape is looking like? Right, how many speaking opportunities do women typically get, and should we be concerned, should we be looking at partnership with conference organizers to make an explicit request, right, to or define an explicit space for women, so women can approach, and even if they're first time speakers or if they're seasoned speakers, to go in and share their bit of story? How is it working?
yeah, I mean, it is some one particular conference. In fact, I had this challenge where they had called me and said, "Hey, we have a slot, and would you be interested?" I said, "That means I need to travel out of Bangalore, but I should be able to." So why this last minute? If I had known it earlier, they said, "Yeah, we had actually had someone, but then somebody suggested that we have a diversity, so we are calling you." I said, "Is that the reason why you want me in the conference?" Then
Wow.
I'm not too sure if I want to, because I appreciate your honesty, but I would be really happy if you actually wanted me, because I have the knowledge and I have
Yeah.
the expertise rather than just to add to the diversity issue that you want to have in your conference. So that
Yeah.
happened once, but just once. So I don't want to generalize that. But if one person is thinking or one conference is thinking, I am thinking that maybe there are 3 or 4 such bodies who are thinking like that. That's
Yeah.
what that's what concerns me. And after that incident, every time my paper is selected, I do want to ask like, hey, why did you select me? Is it because you to have a
Right.
diversity
Yeah.
factor, or did you really like my abstract and my theme that I had presented? I don't ask, but I after that incident, that somehow it has left that in me.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, it kind of for about 3 to 4 conferences, I was little doubtful. Every time I was invited to speak, is it because they think me as capable, or they think me as a nice to have diversity element in the paper, right, in their advertisement.
Yeah.
But I stopped. Like I said, I stopped and I started ignoring such things, and I just go and
Yeah.
share what I have. And at the end of this, my talk, people also understand that it has nothing to do with women, but she actually knows the subject, and so it's good to connect and speak to her. So that happens anyway after this conference. But I would like really some conferences, definitely the big ones like maybe Agile 2019 or even Agile India, is um, consciously encourage women conference, women attending the conferences, women speaking at the conference. Can we have organizations saying that we are going to have, if I'm going to speak, for example, a male person, I'm going to have one of my female team members co-speak with me, so that I can mentor and guide and build that confidence in this person, right? So I would like to see, again, because it's already slightly more dominated by men, men have to come forward and say that, can you share your desk, I mean, your dais with another woman co-worker who can also
Yeah.
co-speak with you or
Yeah.
co-present with you in the conference? Can we have organizations saying that for every 4 women attending a conference, even the conferences say, for every 4 women you sponsor to attend, we give the fifth ticket or a 10th ticket free for another woman employee who could just come to the conference. So just build that consciously. I don't want it to go too long. I don't want it to become like the reservation problems we have in India.
Right. Right.
But I want, we have to consciously do for a couple of years, or maybe about 3 4 years, until, and then maybe we drop it when everything is settled down and we don't have to really fight for it anymore. But some conscious effort until then is no harm, is what I think.
Yeah, no, I love some of the options that you presented, right? Giving those, invitations, explicit invitations that every fifth or every 10th person gets a free ticket, but bring that colleague along. I think that really establishes the footing. And as you said, after a while, we don't even have to be, mentioning it, right? It should become part of it. And I think more women will organically lean towards participating because they know it's a safe space.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's great. Um, and one thing that we cannot ignore, Padma, being women, is that we juggle quite a few priorities in life, right? The children, family, our societal commitments, work, and whatnot. And I know you have kids as well, and you are in a senior leadership role, and you contribute quite a bit to the community. How do you balance all these juggling balls in the air?
Like initially, it was like when my daughter was very young, it was slightly difficult because she wouldn't understand a few things. So it had to be like a lot of talking with her to tell her why I need to be away for a longer time or why I'm traveling. And then, I mean, but she grew up like that, and so it started becoming easy. One thing that I realized was the transparency that we always talk in Agile also helps back. Like instead of going away when your kid is sleeping, so that when she wakes up, she anyway understands you're not around and adjusts. Wake her up, tell her you're going, and maybe that, say that, kiss her on the
Yeah,
forehead, say bye, and tell
yeah,
her exactly when you're coming back, even if you're on a work travel, and then set the expectations right. I mean, she may be too young to handle it, but she'll start getting used to that kind of a transparency and handling straightforward information. So I always tell even the younger women that I work with who say that, no, I asked my mother-in-law, my mother, to take care of my daughter, and I went out of the back door when she was playing in the front door, so she didn't see me. I said, don't do that. That's probably the wrong thing, because she'll stop trusting you
yeah,
every time you
yeah,
do that.
yeah,
be that has helped. And also now I also, like, I mean, my daughter has grown up, but even then she needs me as much, definitely. And I have clear time, because I come late and go late from the office. I tell her that if you want to talk to me, you have to wake up early, and you need to set up the we need to set up the time so that I'm available, because she's now applying for some of the universities, so she wants me to
Right.
review some of her forms,
Yeah.
letters and all that. So I said it has to be morning. And
Yeah.
I'm not available on third Saturdays, because we do business agility meetup. I'm taking care of that in Bangalore, so I'm not available on third Saturday. So even if it's a family function, I tell them that, see, I'm committed to it. I can't just take out time. I'll come after I finish my meetup, and set the expectations right. Not tell them that I'll be definitely there and not turn up. So I have
Yeah.
realized that transparency that we apply in Agile helps here also. So that has
Absolutely.
helped. It may be too straightforward, but that's the best is what I feel, and that has worked for me very well.
Yeah.
And even in office, setting expectations. I don't take call till 9:30, 10 in the morning, and I'm available. So until 7:30 morning, uh, okay, but 7:30 to 9:30 is my kitchen time and my family time. So I usually don't pick up calls or respond to mails. But after 9:30 or 10, I'm again back
Right.
to the work. So even at office, they know that. They just leave me a message, and like, unless it's emergency, they will also not call me. My colleagues know. So setting those expectations
Right.
actually helps in a lot of way. The transparency helps. So that
It
has
does.
helped me. And since I learned it hard way, I definitely would like people to start it very early, not reinvent the wheel all over again and try out things. That helps. Uh, Otherwise, yeah, you have committed. So if somebody suddenly has a family function, you have to miss it. You don't have a choice. I do feel bad sometimes. I miss meeting some of my family members, because either I'm traveling that time, or I'm committed to some other work or some other call. But I ensure that I make it up either in the second half of the day or after my work. Even if it's a little bit stretch, I travel, go and meet them and come back.
That's awesome. So yeah, there is always that stretch that we have to do, but I think, as you said, transparency really helps to build the trust and keep your commitments at the same time. So yeah, thanks for sharing that bit of information and advice there. You know, one thing that I make sure that I ask every interviewee is, there's always a self dialogue that goes on in each of us when you set out to do something. In fact, when you start your career, more so, and as you're advancing in your career, going into leadership roles, there's always that self dialogue, which becomes a self barrier, right? That you're constantly judging yourself. You have an imposter syndrome. Your fear of judgment and prejudice always crops up. Before even we can go to external barriers and handle them, how did you handle the internal barriers? That self dialogue, self doubt, as you did everything that you did.
Yeah. One thing that probably I was not aware of myself was that I was a little too brash, which actually helped probably, because I always used to jump at things I have not done rather than things that are familiar to me. It
Okay.
somehow kind of thrilled me to do things I didn't know rather than taking things. I remember very well when I went to college and in my graduation, I had taken up. So I am from Bangalore, so I'm very familiar with Kannada literature. So I said I
Mhm.
would like to take up Kannada literature along with journalism and psychology. And my college principal asked, "So that's a easy way, yeah? Because you already know Kannada literature very well." I said, "Yeah, so we can score well. But what are you learning? You already have most of the books that come in the Kannada literature, you have already studied. If you truly want to learn something, take English literature, because that's very hard nut for you to crack. And that's where actually you learn." Somehow that what she said that day stayed with me for a long, long time, or even it stays with me till today. She's actually no more. I used to keep in touch with her. She, in fact, started something called Women's Studies as a program, and she's introduced that at the university level. She was a champion for the women equality and causes in in Bangalore and Karnataka in the education systems. So
Mhm.
she has influenced me. So one thing that she said is, if you want to learn, do things you have never done before. You never
Wow.
learn much by doing things you already know. So that
Right.
somehow stayed with me at a early age of 18, and I took it probably too way too seriously, I guess. So I always jumped at things that I didn't know rather than things I knew. So and then I learned it because I have to prove now because I have already
Right.
picked up that work, and so I went out of my way to uh, learn that and pick it up. Sometimes that going out of the way to learn things which you didn't know has impacted a bit on the family side. Not spent enough time probably with my daughter when she was young because I was busy learning or studying something, meeting up with a group of people who would teach me that subject because I've taken it and work. But it has helped me in professionally to grow, and it's become a now more a uh, business as usual to pick up things I have not done before,
Yes.
right? So yeah, uh, so it just and it kind of gives a lot of satisfaction when you have actually completed it by
Yeah.
learning
Okay.
it and learning on your way. But one thing that definitely I would, what I have done is that in this journey of doing things that I have not known, I have always looked for help. A lot of people think that it's maybe
Hmm.
not great to ask for help, or doing all by yourself is something more prestigious. I don't believe in that. I have always looked up to people who have already done it before. I have asked them, like, can you be my mentor in this subject? I
Yeah.
haven't done this before. Can you help me how to go about it? And people have never said no because probably they do understand that they have gone through what you have gone through. So
Yes.
I have not I come across many times where people have said, no, I don't have time. They're more than happy to help you. So take up things you have not done, but ask for help so that you can succeed much faster and much smoother than doing everything on your own, because I don't think anybody's appreciating whether you're alone in this or you're with somebody else on this. All they want to know is how you are doing this.
Yes. Yes. No, that's indeed a great advice, Padma. Take up, feel the fear, but do it
Yeah,
anyway. But, don't be shy to ask for mentorship, guidance, or help. Yeah.
exactly. Like, I mean, if Leah, the Lean in Agile that you are coming up with, I would definitely look up to ask like a lot of women to approach and say, hey, I'm planning to start a journey in this mentoring career or a coaching career. Ask for it. People have done it, and that's why they're sitting there. There's nothing
Yes.
wrong. And there are
Yes.
people who are very happy to help you when you ask for such questions.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's indeed a great advice, Padma. Many people who are battling with that self doubt should absolutely hear this. Um, you know, uh, I would like to ask. You probably leaned on many learning resources. Are there any books or authors that you would like to recommend or suggest?
Definitely. One is The Goal that I read very early when I came to the Agile world. That has influenced me a lot, and I have read and reread that book multiple times. And every time I read it, it opens up a different thought process in me. I can never be less grateful to Goldratt about it. It's really wonderful. And the next version of it with Gene Kim and the team wrote on the Phoenix project again. Very interesting, but I would still like to go back to Goal multiple times. I
Goal.
ensure I read it, yeah, the Goal. I read
Yeah.
it at least once in a year because I really
Wow.
like that book a lot. That's more from but something not really related to agile, but one book that influenced me a lot is Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's a very small book, not a very big book. Maybe about 120 pages is what it is. Richback, and it's about a seagull who was told continuously that seagulls cannot fly high, but he was little deaf, so he didn't hear that well. So he really flew very, very high, even being a
Awesome.
seagull. So
Yeah.
that's another favorite book, and I like giving books as gifts, and I always give that book to, especially the next gen that we discussed before this interview, the next
Yes.
time, like I have made my daughter read it. I made my all my daughter's friends, classmates read that book. I said,
I'm
I
gonna go
want
ahead
you
and
to read
add
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah,
Awesome.
it's again a book that I would, if I were to change my name, probably I would change it to Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Oh, that's great. I'll definitely order a copy. I'm curious to
Yeah.
read that book now. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Padma. If we can wrap up this interview with, a quote or something that you have lived your life by so far, something that pushes you forward, what would that be?
I think it's not my own quote. If I'm correct, this was said by Richard Branson, and I have
Uh-huh.
liked it. Is when somebody asks you to do something and you have never done it before, pick it up first, then learn the ways how to do it and go
Yes,
about it. I don't think I'm
absolutely.
saying it exactly the same way that Branson wrote it, but maybe it's more crisper and nice. But I usually I like going by that saying, right?
Yeah.
Life is always like that. It always throws things at you have never done before, whether in work or in real life. Not everything comes with work that you have done prior experience. For example, marriage, it doesn't come with an experience. Having a kid, I wish somebody had told me this is going to be so tough, but nobody told about it. So you do that, you learn, or your first job, or changing a job because you want to do something else in your career. It all comes with a different set of experience, but do that when life is throwing such wonderful opportunities at you. Don't shy away, pick that up, learn, and that's the great thing about the whole doing new thing is that you learn something new, and learning will always stay with you. You may not use it today, but I'm sure you will use it sometime later in your life. uh, you know when to apply it. Once you have the knowledge, you exactly know when to apply it and how to apply it. So, and nothing better than learning at work, because you're more challenged here,
Yes.
because you have colleagues to prove to, you have leaders to prove to. So it's awesome. So I
Yeah, and you
always
also
tell
have the
people,
support structure. Yeah.
yes, that's one thing I tell is do different things. Life is too short to be doing only one thing.
One thing, yeah. I love that, and it aligns with my thinking very much. So, thank you for sharing that, Padma. I think you shared so many things which resonate with me, and I'm sure with the audience as well. And we need more leaders like you. And as you said, we need probably more Padmas, coming up, and to a point where we ask, which Padma are you talking about? And all of them are awesome. So, we should definitely, come to that state sooner than later. But we look to people like you to kind of start building that community.
Thank you, and I look
Definitely
forward to the
recommend.
collaboration and taking
Yeah.
this journey forward, specifically with the next gen.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Padma, for your time and for your great advice to the community. Thank you, and good luck with everything that you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Yes.